was dropped straight away, and that was it. I mean, I was still relatively in touch the first half of the swim, the first lap, 20 seconds or so, but second lap, I think I lost nearly 2 minutes. I mean, they just disappeared. Yeah. And then, I was on my own on the bike. I did manage to catch a few people, which was good. But, against groups of 20, 30 guys, it doesn't matter, how strong you are, just the sheer momentum of a peloton. I mean, I know that better than anyone, what happens when you go out the back. And then on the run, I was just going full gas to try and make sure that Matt McElroy and his band of merry men from the US didn't lap me, and I didn't get pulled off the course because I was like, damn, I can't come all this way, and I'm not going to do a Lange and be having my ass kicked and just pull out because I'm getting my butt kicked. So I've got a bit more pride than that. I'm a bit more of a gentleman and have respect for my competitors. So, so that was quite an eye-opener. I mean, I guess learning how crucial that swim is. I mean, people have told me that and told me I had no chance and everything else. Of course, I've heard it all, but, you could tell me that till you're blue in the face. I mean, I need to find out these things for myself. And, I must admit I was a bit shocked how crucial the swim was. But also it was a huge experience. You don't get that from sitting on the couch at home. So, I had quite an extensive conversation with the national selectors this morning, actually, and just about where do we go from here. And, I certainly it's in their hands because, of course, you're representing Australia in these World Cups and higher-level competitions, so it's up to them to enter me. And I certainly would like to, continue with what we set out to do, which was more of a go and see what happens, and a great result would be being able to finish, which I was actually able to do. I'd like to, train as much as I possibly can before now and potentially South Africa, the first World Cup of next year, and see if I can stay in touch in the swim. And then we look at it from there. So, I mean, I guess going to the Olympics, the door's not completely shut, but it's certainly now make or break. Every race will be a cut-off. If I can't get to a certain level that we set, that'll be it. If I do, it'll be on to the next, and so forth until the team's chosen in June. So I'm fully committed to trying to make that team, and I'm going to do everything I can to try and be there. But obviously, under no illusions of how much of a mountain I've got to climb to be on the starting line in Tokyo. So. But it's something that really drives me, and I think my flaws in Ironman, particularly in Kona, we saw this year where the swim became so crucial to the overall outcome of the race. That's something I've got to work on, and worst case scenario, even attempting this, it certainly put a rocket up my backside to get my swim together and work hard on that. So I think the long game of obviously is winning Kona, and this will be something that'll definitely contribute towards that in a significant way. One thing else I loved was just being there and the intensity of the event around it, the athletes, before the race, the days leading in, obviously the race itself. I've missed that. I mean, I wouldn't say I've become soft. I do something different. I mean, they're basically two different sports, Ironman and the Olympic distance, even though you're doing, in theory, the same thing. But I missed that from the rowing days where there was that intensity before the race, and you couldn't waste a second of the race. You didn't have time to get yourself out of trouble, and guys racing around. It was like the CrossFit games going on before the race. People jumping and push-ups, burpees and somersaults and God knows whatever else everyone was up to get ready. And I was sort of just standing there with my drink bottle in my hand thinking, what am I in for? And and that was awesome. I really missed that, and I really admired that side of the sport. It was just so awesome to see, another element to this sport. I mean, I'm so new to it. I'd never even done an Olympic race in my life, let alone a World Cup. It was quite a baptism of fire, so to speak, but also just great for me to understand a bit more of the heritage of the sport that I'm involved in. So, yeah, it was awesome. It's a bit of a balance, obviously, because we need to be realistic in that Kona is what I'm good at, and focusing on that. So it's really just at the moment a project in improving my swimming, to get to the point where I can stay in the field, get on the bike with the field, see what I can do on the bike, and then see what happens on the run. And really doesn't go a hell of a lot more than that. I certainly don't want to be traversing all over the world, in the first part of the year, chasing it. So, we've come up with a strategy where it's really only a few races that I'll do. And as I said, if I don't get past the next stage, then I won't even do the next one, and then so forth. So, I certainly won't be chasing racing opportunities to gain experience. It's because it's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward what I got to do. I got to swim well, and then from there, my experience that I've had in cycling, I should be pretty much capable of doing. Trying to influence the race the best way I can, and then obviously the run. It's just what you got left. So, what I was happy with was the fact that we had the best guys at their best, and they all had great days. And I feel like we definitely got the top. If I say top 5, being myself, but even top 10. There was a couple of guys that it's a shame about Dave McNamee. I guess being crook. He obviously had a problem. I mean, the thing you notice when someone's sick, the first thing that you struggle with when you're sick, as everyone knows in triathlon, is swimming. So to see Dave back where he was, you knew he had a problem. Now, some other little snoozer that tried to tell everyone he was sick, who had the best swim he's ever had in his life, that's a pretty clear indication of the rubbish he was carrying on with. But I was thinking even already in the swim, that I was already thinking about the work I needed to do when we rounded that body glove boat, and I knew there was that group ahead. I was thinking, gosh, I've got some work to do before next year. So, I kind of felt like the race was already gone at that point, and all I could do was get the best possible result I could. And at the end of the day, to come 5th, with the 4 guys that finished ahead of me, and the guys that were all behind me, it was a huge step forward for me. If I'd had that sort of performance the last couple of years, where I felt like, and it's pretty obvious that the best guys weren't at their best in Kona, which was a shame, then I would have been really disappointed. But this year I left the race, very happy with what I was able to achieve, because I certainly gave it everything I had on the day. And those top 4 guys, it took their best ever performances in Kona, all of them, to be ahead. And I thought it was great for the sport, a great result for the sport. And for me personally, 2 guys ahead of me that have won the race before, one obviously multiple times, and one, faster than anyone else has ever done it. And then 2 other guys that have both finished second before. So, how could I put my hand up and say I deserve to be any higher? I definitely didn't. And my result was it was a huge step forward for me. So that was great in South Africa. So he's a bit of a lad, which is cool actually. I'm gonna probably catch up with him next week and do some skiing when the resorts open properly. He'll come up and which would be cool. But I have a huge amount of respect for that guy, and the fact, and he is the reason why I really wanted to do the sport, because I went there as an age grouper in 2015. I had a broken foot, which I'd broken after Whistler, and but I wanted to be there to see it and get a feel for it and see if it was something that I wanted to pursue properly. And I managed to, have an average swim. I got through the bike okay. I mean, obviously I hadn't exercised for a couple of months leading in with my foot, but I got onto the run and hobbled along Ali Drive and actually got out to the Queen K before he finished. So I saw him coming back to town. I've said this story quite a few times. Obviously, I was pretty blown away and impressed by the state of that specimen and how amazing he looked. But I also felt that, I think I can come back one day and race you. Obviously, that's been quite a burning desire, quite fixated, not fixated, I don't think it's the best word, but certainly used him as the yardstick. And in 2017 was a bit of a dream come true to be there, to catch them on the bike, to obviously blow the field apart. It was disappointing to see him fall apart the way he did, but by his own admission, he was off his game. He was struggling. He had a sore back, and everyone knows when everyone's got something wrong with them in an Ironman, but if you're not having a good day, it really affects you. And Jan will be the first to admit that he wasn't able to put that out of his mind, when other days he certainly has been able to put injuries out of his mind if you look at what he competed with in South Africa. So when he was really on his game. So, having Jan there this year, and seeing him do what he did was exactly what I always, the way I pictured the sport being. And so he's certainly someone that that really drives me, and I want to get there, and I want to race him though. I want to actually be in the race with him, not just pack feel behind him like I kind of was this year. It's definitely a natural thing for me. Geraint Thomas often would say that people have a filter where you think just before you speak, but he thinks that I didn't get given that when I was born. So I try, and he actually calls me the radio when we're training because keep on coming out with crap, as he says. But I must admit, I sort of love doing this sport and being in the position I'm in, and kind of I've started to learn to I do think before I speak now, but I certainly don't worry too much about giving people a hard time, because people realise that it's really in jest, and it is something that people do comment on how much they enjoy that, and so forth. And so especially with someone like with Jan, having a bit of fun the way he did, and being quick-witted to come back and have a go at me in that way. One thing you always worry about is you say something and then you're going to get embarrassed. It's like bigger you are, the harder you fall, especially when you say anything about other athletes, and then they might come out and kick your ass. But probably the biggest compliment I had after the race was Jan sending me a message and just let me know. He said, there's a lot of people that talk the talk in this sport, but it was really great to see that you could actually stand up and deliver when it mattered. And that's been something that, has really been of concern to me, I guess, playing this role in the sport, that I'm going to fall flat on my face really hard. But I feel like I can, behave that way or play that role and still go out and get the best out of myself on race day. I don't, it doesn't affect me once that gun goes off. So, I obviously mean no harm. And sometimes if I don't like someone, I'll happily say it too. And in that case, I do mean offence. So,